As a coach, you're going to find that oftentimes a client will come to you and they'll seek the solution to a problem. Now, in NLP, when we train our coaches, that becomes a problem for us at the early stages. The inexperienced coaches or the new coaches very often they're like trigger happy bouncers or doormen. They can't wait to use their skills. Now, one of the things that we teach them though is to remember the presupposition in NLP is that you have all the resources you need, which means that the client has all the resources they need as well. Now, that said, they're arriving at your door and they want a solution to the problem. Now, the first thing is I'm going to show you a 4-stage process for solving problems. The last stage of that process is where you intervene at the highest level. Your objective really is to intervene at the lowest level possible. So somewhere in between unconditional positive regard and advice lies this process. Client comes in, they say they have a problem. First thing that you begin to say to them is say, okay, well, tell me what's the problem specifically. At that point, they will explain the problem. And that's simple enough. Now you begin to change it. And you say, how do you know that it's a problem? And the client will look at you, hesitate perhaps for a second, and then continue to re-explain. Now, the next question after that is, how do you know how to have that problem? At that stage, the client will look at you as if you've got two heads. And if they don't answer it at that stage, what you do, you say, okay, I tell you what. Just imagine that I can take your problem for the day and I look after it. But can you tell me though, so that we can solve this, how do you know how to have that problem? At that point, they'll continue on. Now you continue to ask questions which will literally shape their perspective around it and give them a new perspective. Your questions are going to get them to rethink their problem in a different way. And as they do, you'll find most often they come up with a solution. So your next question then is, how do you know when to have the problem? Next question, how do you know where to have the problem? Next question, how do you know with whom to have the problem? And as they go through this, you'll notice them shifting and sorting to solve the problem. Then you say to them, what stops you from solving the problem? If you've got that, at that point very often they know how to solve it. If they haven't solved at that stage, then what you do is you take their problem and you begin to take chunks of it. In that way, they begin to rethink as you reflect back and hand back, paraphrasing the chunks of the problem that you've selected for them to look at it in a different way. If that doesn't work, then you begin to use the power of symbol or metaphor. And if that doesn't work, then you do the final level of intervention, which is really the programming part of NLP. You set them in a well-formed direction. Rather than focusing on their problem, you ask them what do they want and you focus on the solution and build it from there. Now, if you like this idea, if you are attracted to the idea of coaching, perhaps come and talk to us. We'd love to see you. We'd love to speak to you about the process of coaching, and perhaps you might join one of our courses.